In this video, I correct some of the mistakes I made in a recent review of AMS2. And once that is out of the way, I show how you can mod AMS2 to use the popular spotter Crew Chief, and all from an older gamer's perspective. Before I get into how to mod AMS2 to use Crew Chief, I want to make a few corrections to my recent review of AMS2. If you haven't seen it yet and you are new to AMS2, I would advise you to watch this now, as it will inform you on what to expect from the base, unmodded version of AMS2. So, amongst some of the things I got wrong was talking about how the car drives on autopilot when leaving the pits, which by default it does. And to be honest, it doesn't bother me. In my review, this was more of an observation than a criticism, but many of my kind reviewers have alerted me to the fact that you can in fact turn this feature off. To do this in-game, go to the options menu, then gameplay, and scroll down to the bottom of authenticity. There you can find the option to turn this off or on. I also mentioned that what I assumed to be the VW Golf was a wild ride, and rather kindly a user called RTPJU pointed out that I was in fact talking about the VW Gol, if that's how you pronounce it, which is a Brazilian VW project from the late 70s intended to replace a car called the Brasilia. That was in itself an attempt to replace the Beetle. He goes into some detail on this subject in the comments, which in itself is fascinating, and if you want to know more, I would advise you to read those comments in my AMS2 review, which I will link below. I also said, repeatedly, the game is fantastic. With a career mode and a built-in spotter, AMS2 will be utterly brilliant. I hope they add it soon. And in fact, that is also wrong. There is an in-game spotter in AMS2, although its placement in the option menu is a little obscure. To activate the in-game spotter, all you actually need to do is click on options, then gameplay, and then, and this is the slightly obscure part, to activate this solely audio feature, click the tab marked display. Yeah, really. About halfway down, off by default, is the spotter option, which is activated by selecting either authentic or always. I would love to tell you what the difference is between these two modes, but documentation for AMS2 is a little scarce, so if anyone can tell me where to find the PDF manual for this game, please comment below. But that being said, once activated, the spotter does work. Here's how it sounds.
Right side. All clear. Okay, he cleared you. Car right. One on your left. Okay, clear. Half length back, watch your line.
Yes, it's a little robotic, and if you're coming from iRacing, it will probably sound a little basic, but it does the job, and honestly, there is nothing wrong with it. And if you're happy with the inbuilt spotter in AMS2, then you can stop watching this video now. If, however, you want to replace the basic AMS2 spotter with a more lively and a much enhanced spotter via the popular app Crew Chief, then carry on watching. Setting up Crew Chief. Now, if you're someone that shies away from modding a game, mostly because it seems like a scary thing to do, don't worry. Adding Crew Chief to AMS2, or indeed most racing sims, is probably the easiest mod that you will ever undertake. You first of all need to download Crew Chief. The link is in the description. There is also a general help area here off this link, and a forum where you can ask questions if you get into trouble. Once the file is downloaded, double click on it and follow the install instructions. With that completed, launch the application. Now, it takes a few minutes for the app to sync with the home website, so give it a bit of space. But once this is done, there are 3 buttons which should turn green and display a message saying no sound packs or driver names were detected. Click each of these buttons in turn and wait for the download on them to finish, and then everything should be up to date. This can take a few minutes and it might stall a few times, but be patient. If prompted, restart the application when the pack has finished downloading and has installed. Repeat this with the other 2 packs. With the app updated and ready to go, in the game box select AMS2. There are a lot of games here, and it's worth noting that setting up Crew Chief for one game leaves it open for use for all the other sims. All you need to do is change the name of the sim you want to use here. Make sure AMS2 is selected before you move on in this particular tutorial. Under name, you can select yours if you are lucky enough to see it listed there. I have a common name. Apparently I was named after one of the Beatles, although I've never figured out which one. So my name is in here. If you are not listed, I guess you need to ask on the Crew Chief forum if they will create your name. This just adds a bit of personalization to the announcements that you will hear. It's really not totally necessary, but it is nice to have.
Bad luck, Paul.
Once you are happy, click select to assign that name to your profile, and again reboot if asked. There's a lot of rebooting in this app, get used to it. Now you can select the voices that will actually talk to you, although by default there is only one available for the Crew Chief, although the spotter has several voices to choose from. Each time you change a voice, the application will need to reboot. Just under that you will find properties, and you can click on that and then stare at the sheer wealth of options you can change before you back nervously away. Don't change anything just now. You can tweak this later if you need to. At the bottom of the interface on the left, there is an area where available controllers will appear. If there is nothing listed here, click Scan for controllers. Your wheel buttons or your keyboard can be mapped to various commands in Crew Chief, like increasing or decreasing the volume of this app. Click the action you want to assign, then click the Assign button, then finally the button on your wheel or keyboard, and job done. What is cooler though is using voice recognition to actually talk to your spotter. Activate this on the left by deciding to use a hotkey to talk or just use a trigger word, or you can select always on as I have done here so that it will always be listening to me. If you are in a noisy environment, you may need to change this. The last thing to do, but something that might not apply to you, is to set where you want your spotter to talk through, which sound system, and also where you want to hear background noises come through. For me, using the Quest 3, I set this to Oculus Virtual Audio Out for both, and I think it's interesting it doesn't say Meta Virtual Audio Out. For setting up AMS2 to interface with Crew Chief, all you need to do is open up the game, then click Options and then System, and then change the settings you find there to what you see here. And that's it. See? Told you it was easy. Using Crew Chief with AMS2. Now that you have everything set up, you simply start Crew Chief by clicking the Start button, then jumping into the game. Here you can load a race and test the system. I will switch over right now to my Quest 3 microphone so that you can hear Crew Chief nattering to me while I race.
5 laps, make them count. 17th place. The track temp is 30. The air temp is 25 Celsius. Heads up, we're going green. Green, let's go, let's go.
Car right. Hold your line. Still there. Hold your line. Hold your line. Still there. Clear right.
Five laps remaining.
On your right. Hold your line. 3 wide, you're in the middle. Clear all round, left side. Clear left. Clear all round.
B31, 2 to go.
On your right. Still there. Clear right.
Okay, Paul, you've had some suspension damage there. Stay out.
And that's Crew Chief. Conclusion. In conclusion, there is nothing wrong with the built-in spotter of AMS2 once you have managed to find it. Crew Chief, though, is just so much better. It gives you a well-rounded immersive experience, which in VR is really what you want. And I found the stock spotter in AMS2 just a little too rudimentary for my liking. It's a personal thing. So I will be sticking with Crew Chief for now and looking for some extra features inside the app that I have yet to try. Please note that Crew Chief is free to use, but if you find it to be a cool application that you use regularly, please don't forget to donate a sum that will reward the developers for their hard work. In a future video, I will also be showing how to mod AMS2 to include a career mode. Until next time, race clean, and I will see you on track. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.